Hey everybody, this is Wanda from Fox Hollow Peonies in Alaska. And I normally do a little Fridays at Fox Hollow, but this week got kind of busy on me. We actually started harvesting a couple days ago. And so yesterday on Friday, I got up in the morning and went out and did a harvest, and some of our early varieties are ready to harvest. But it's kind of going slow. We actually, thankfully, got a whole day of rain yesterday. And so the rain kind of slowed down their development a bit. Plus it was cool. And so, got a mosquito bugging me here. Anyways, I harvested in the morning and just realized that with harvest coming on, once we're in full harvest, it's just slam bam, 24/7. And I realized I needed to get some groceries. So we have a little grocery store here in Nenana, but it's kind of expensive, of course, because it's a smaller place and the transportation to get the groceries down here. So the nearest big town is Fairbanks, which is an hour's drive north of us, where we can go to Fred Meyer's and Walmart and all that. So yesterday I decided I had better go get some groceries before we got slammed with harvest. So I went up and did a quick trip to Fairbanks and got groceries, came back, did another harvest, then had to make dinner, and then went out and checked again before bedtime. And so I just really didn't have time yesterday to do my usual Fridays at Fox Hollow. So today we're having Saturday at Fox Hollow. I am out in my container van right now that is my processing room. And I wanted to show you around for a little bit and show you this really awesome space that my handy dandy husband has created for me. We took a container van and made half of it into a small chiller, and the other half is my room that I process the peonies in, and also the room I do my my bouquets in for the farmer's market. So I'm going to kind of turn here and show you. This is my space for processing. And you can see that we have a board there on the table. And what we do is we put the peony buds up against the board. And then the edge of the table is the length that we need the peonies to be cut at. And so if there's overhang, if any of the stems are overhanging, we know it needs to be cut. So we just come right over here and chop off the end of the stems, and they fall down into that box down on the floor. So that's my processing table. This other side here is where I do my bouquets for the farmer's market. I have all my vases and some organizing things with labels. So this is one half of the container van. So turning you around now, here's the door to the outside. And this door here goes into our chiller. Turn the light on here. So this is our small chiller. And I usually use this to initially, when I bring the peonies up from the field, I bring them in here and set them in buckets, and that's to get the field heat out of them. And then we take them into the other room and process them. And what we do here is we store our peonies in these black crates, the bulb crates. Put a piece of fleece in the bottom to kind of protect the buds that are on the bottom. And we stack them in there and put a label on the end. And then we take them next door to our big chiller where we store them long term. The big chiller is when we try not to open the door too much. We try to keep it down about 34, 33 degrees and store them in the big chiller. Since it was raining, you don't want to put soaking wet flowers into the big chiller. And so what I did with the wet stems yesterday is I just laid them out on a rack there to dry. And then we'll take them and cut them the correct length and stick them into the bulb crate. And so these are Inspector Laverne. If you remember a couple posts ago, I put a post about liking the Pink Panther and having a soft spot for Inspector Laverne. That's what these guys are. They are big, big, beautiful, dark pink bomb. And over here we have some red charm. And down here is called Edulus. Edulus superba, and they are superb. Aren't they gorgeous? So we're just getting started with our harvest here. Down here are some smaller buckets that I harvested for my farmer's market bouquets. So sometimes if the plant, we don't want to harvest more than half the plant, so sometimes I'll take a couple long stems from a plant and then a couple short stems to use in my farmer's market. So that's our small chiller, and we have a big chiller next door, but it's about double that size. That, like I said, we put the peonies in there for long-term storage. So I'm going to walk out of the van here and head over to my porch so I can keep chatting with you for a minute. We harvest. We have a four-wheeler with a trailer behind it. The trailer holds 12 buckets, and we harvest into buckets. And then depends on how hot it is. If it's really hot out, I'll have the kids that help me with harvesting run the buckets up, just walk them up to the chiller. But if it's cool out and we can get the whole trailer filled with buckets, then we run the four-wheeler up to the container van and put everything in there to get processed and moved over. I have the kids are my runners. When I'm harvesting, I walk along and cut, and the kids follow me, and I hand the peony stems to them. And as soon as they are, they get an armful, they take them to the trailer. They strip the bottom two leaves off right there in the field, and then stick them in the buckets. So that's how we do harvesting. So my son was helping me harvest this morning. It's the first time he has helped me harvest. And he's usually doing other things like hauling water or mowing, but I'll let my workers have the weekend off this weekend. So anyways, he was saying to me as I was walking along, well, what are you looking for? You know, because I was grabbing each peony and squeezing it and looking at it. And I said, well, I'm looking for a certain amount of color showing and looking for it softening a little bit. And he pointed to another part of the field and he said, wow, those look like they're ready to go. And I said, well, actually they're not because we have several varieties of reds that you can't harvest them until they're almost open. They have to have about the size of a quarter showing in the middle open. If you harvest them when they're completely closed, they'll never open. So I was walking along, we were moving, there's about 3 or 4 varieties I'm harvesting right now. So I was telling him, you know, that every peony variety is different and every one you harvest at a different time. Some of them you can harvest more closed and harder, and some of them have to be a little more open and softer. And I was thinking about that in terms of what we've talked about God being the master gardener, and how just like those of us who farm or grow things, we know our plants. And I've talked about how I know my peonies. I know where each different variety is planted. I don't even have to have labels out there because I know which ones are which. And I also know exactly when they're ready to harvest. And I think God is the same way with us. He knows exactly when you're ready for something. And sometimes we think in our life that we're ready to start something, or we have a dream, or we have a plan, and we think we're ready, and God's saying, nope, you're not quite ready yet. And we get frustrated because we're raring to go do something or do some kind of plan, and something happens like the coronavirus, and we get frustrated. But we just need to remember that God, just like we know when our flowers are ready to harvest or your crop is ready, God knows when we're ready for certain things in our lives. And we just have to trust God's timing. God, I believe that God directs all of our steps, as he says in his word, and that he knows when we're ready for something and when we're not ready. So if you are frustrated today about something you'd like to do in your life, or plans that you had that have gone sideways on you, just remember that your master gardener knows exactly what you need. He knows you inside and out, and he knows what you can handle and what you can't. And he knows that there are certain times that maybe we're not ready for something that we think we're ready for. I'm very glad that a couple times God closed the door on something I wanted so bad. For example, we used to live in a town called Eagle River, which is down by Anchorage, and I used to go jogging in this neighborhood of really sort of fancy houses my husband was finishing his master's degree at the time, and the big plan was that he was going to get a job with Anchorage Police Department, and we were going to live in Eagle River. And I used to jog by those houses all the time and just think, oh, I want one of these houses so bad. I really want one of these houses, and I used to look at the ones that were for sale and go look at the price and everything. And I almost was, I just really actually coveted kind of one of those houses. Well, our life did not go that way. He tried to get on with Anchorage Police Department, and he didn't get hired because they changed what they were looking for, and he was overqualified for the job because he had a master's degree now, which originally they were looking for people with degrees. And then they got a new chief of police who was looking for rookies so he could train them the way he wanted to train them. So that didn't work out. But as a result, another dog just came in our yard. So our dog's probably going to start going crazy here. Anyways, we didn't end up doing that, but we ended up living in rural Alaska in a lot of beautiful communities. And we ended up with this beautiful house on 7.5 acres. When our original, that original dream I had, we would have been on one of those little tiny houses with a little postage stamp lawn, and you can practically look into the neighbors right next door to you. So I'm very thankful for that plan that I had that actually did not turn out to come true. And just thankful for God, my master gardener, directing our steps to where we are today. So I hope that encourages you guys today. And I want to wish all the fathers happy Father's Day out there, whether you're a biological father or you're a guy who's just taken on helping some young kids, stepdads, all the wonderful dads out there who work so hard. And I'm especially thankful for my husband. I could not do this farm without him, and very thankful for him. So have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.